Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in to the 143. This is episode 82, coming at you live.
This is the second to last online episode. So we have this one, another one, and then we will both back be in the HQ College Station. So super excited for that one.
Yeah, we're pumped for this little shindig to be over here and for Nick to be back in the studio. You know, that seat next to me is looking really empty every time I record.
Looking dusty.
Ian's got laundry in that seat right now. So, you know, that doesn't belong there. We'll need to talk to Ian about that later. But our NBA analyst, he's getting pretty lazy around here apparently. But yeah, we're looking forward to having Nick back and being back live together. It just sounds better when we're here at the studio.
It does. It really does. The
sound
the
quality.
the episode runs a lot better. I feel like it's a lot smoother when we're both just pinging off each other live. But you know, it is what it is for now. We make do.
But just like we're closer to Nick being back, we are closer to the NFL season being here. They're starting preseason games. Well, they had the Hall of Fame game Thursday, but preseason games for everyone start this Thursday. And sounds like there are going to be some starters playing on a lot of the teams. I don't know about the Cowboys, but I'm hearing like Rams, Seahawks, Patriots, Texans. They're all planning on playing a lot of their starters. So obviously not the whole game, but might be a little bit more exciting of a preseason. Obviously not saying that it's going to be exciting, but might be a little bit more entertaining than we've seen in the past. But yeah, that's coming up this Thursday. Starting it off. We're starting it off in Jacksonville on Saturday.
Our first game is Saturday. Super excited for that. I don't think there's any point in putting our starters out there. You don't want to show off anything too early. Give anyone some looks.
But today we're going to be talking about the NFL top 100 list that came out. It's a pretty popular list that comes out before every NFL season. The players vote on who they think is the top 100 players in the NFL. We'll be focused more on the top 10, but we'll start with the stat of the week, brought to you by our sponsor, Andrews Logistics. Patrick Mahomes is now the number one player for the second time in 3 years. Top 100, voted in by all his peers as the number one player in the NFL. I mean, I don't think anybody can really disagree with that right now with the tear that he's been on. But congrats to Patty, and that's your stat of the week.
I mean, that's pretty easy. And then obviously, I mean, he's got to be the player of the week. It's what we're talking about. He's a two-time Super Bowl champion, two-time MVP, two-time All-Pro, five-time Pro Bowler, throwing for 192 touchdowns, 24,241 yards. He's just been absolutely ridiculous, literally since he stepped into the starting role. So congratulations to Patrick Mahomes on being number one yet again.
I mean, Nick and I didn't even talk about that one. That's just how much on the same page we are. Just imagine how it's going to be when he's back. You know, it's going to be crazy. Like, I don't think the world's prepared. But let's dive into this top 10 list. And Nick, I mean, I know I'm going to let you take it away.
Let's just get into the first gripe. I know exactly. We haven't even talked about it, but I already know exactly what it is. That number 3 really bothers me. Jalen Hurts.
Same here.
I mean, I disagree.
Are you kidding
me?
Very,
very much so.
Are you kidding me?
I mean, Nick Bosa is the best defensive player in the game as of right now, and you're going to put Jalen Hurts over him. And also, the other thing, too, we've mentioned this before on the podcast, Jalen Hurts is not the second best quarterback in the league. I would say he's not even the third best. Yes, obviously, sir. I'm taking Joe Burrow over Jalen Hurts 100 times out of 100. And then, I mean, I think I'd say Josh Allen is there as the number 3.
Number possibly. 3.
And there's also quite a few more people that I'm taking over Jalen Hurts. But that number 3 really, really bothers me. And I know it bothers Joseph as well.
It bothered me. That was the first thing that I saw. I mean, you go, okay, like Patrick Mahomes, Justin Jefferson. I mean, Justin Jefferson showed out last year. There's no arguing. He's the number 2. Jalen Hurts at number 3 blows my mind. I mean, it was just an eyesore just to see it. I'm looking at it right now, and it makes me want to puke. I'll say this, okay? I've had enough of the Jalen Hurts hype. Listen, so, and I'll tell you what's going on, Nick. This is what's going on. The offensive coordinator for the Eagles last year, and Shane Steichen, he's a genius. Okay. And I don't like giving Eagles credit, but I'm going to give him credit because he's not an Eagle anymore. Before the Eagles, he was on the Chargers. That was when Justin Herbert had his one shine out year, right? When Justin Herbert kind of popped onto the scene. His second year, Shane Steichen was his offensive coordinator. Moves to Philly, gives Jalen Hurts an amazing sophomore year as well. Now he's moved on to guess where? The Colts with Anthony Richardson. So there's a chance Anthony Richardson could be great, like me and you have talked about, but that's not what this is about. Shane Steichen is no longer with Jalen Hurts. So this season we get to see if it really was Jalen Hurts being just amazing, or if it was a lot of the play calling and the scheming that went on behind Jalen Hurts' game. Because let's be honest, Jalen Hurts is great at running the football, but as a passer, he's
not a good passer.
He's not great. And he's not great at going off script from what I've seen. So I don't know if it was a lot of the scheming, but that's what a lot of people are thinking. But it's just when you think of great quarterbacks in the NFL, obviously Patrick Mahomes is in another stratosphere right now. And the other person you think of closest to Patty is Joe Burrow. I mean, like hands down, everyone thinks it's Patrick versus Joe. That's the rivalry right now. So it blows my mind. It blows my mind that Jalen Hurts is number 3 on this list.
It also bothers me. And look, the other thing is like we said, this is done by the peers, so the other NFL players, right? And so We've also seen that they're not very smart, because I saw earlier this week, George Pickens was asked his top 5 wide receivers of all time, and his top 4 were valid, right? Everyone, his top 4, I don't remember exactly what the order was, but he had Randy Moss in there, Calvin Johnson in there, Jerry Rice in there, and Julio Jones in there. And I feel like most everyone has those somewhere in their top 5. Doesn't really matter the order. But then his 5th overall was Michael Crabtree, which he kind of got flamed for on Twitter, which I think was well-deserved because, I mean, Michael Crabtree, I'd say he was good, but to put him top 5 all-time wide receivers ever, I mean, that was laughable.
Justin Fields put himself in his top 5 rushing QBs.
You got those same guys voting on this top 100. So those same guys are putting Jalen Hurts at number 3. I'd say they got just about every other one right. Number 1 is obviously correct. I'd say number 2 is correct, but number 3, that's just an absolutely horrendous pick. Like that
absolutely
just bothers me.
We had to hit on that first, but let's talk about the other one that definitely stood out to me and you. I know at number 9, our boy Micah Parsons. Guys, I'm not gonna lie, Micah Parsons has put on some weight. Has put on some weight since last season. He's a DN now, beast. And he's looking big. Micah Parsons will be on a tear.
He's going to be a true defensive end, and I think that is
which took way too long. It took way too long to make him that.
He did not need to be bouncing back and forth from. He take some reps at D tackle, some reps at linebacker, some reps at defensive end.
We love Dan Quinn, but
now
that was
he is
something that
strictly defensive end. He has one focus and one goal. He doesn't have to worry about 3 different positions. I think that's going to make him incredibly lethal. I mean, everyone knows him to be a disgusting pass rusher, and now that he's D end, that's his only duty.
That's his only job.
Passers. So I'm super duper excited to see Micah Parsons on that defensive end. Could there be Defensive Player of the Year season inbound?
I think he's due up. I think he's due up for Defensive Player of the Year.
He's going to get one here pretty soon.
Here's the thing:
it may not be this year, but it's here pretty soon.
Mid-season awards, he was Defensive Player of the Year last year, and then I mean, you just get worn out when you're playing corner, linebacker, DN, D tackle. Like you get worn out. But
there were some plays where he was dropping back in coverage, and it's like, I love my boy Micah, but he does not need to be covering wide receivers.
But now that we have some depth in the secondary, we don't really need him back there as much. Like his one job will be to eat QBs, and that's what he'll be doing. And then, so obviously, love that he made the top 10. I think that was well deserving. Nick Bosa, right now, you've got to put him above Micah because Nick Bosa won Defensive Player. And he was a beast last year. He was a beast. And I will say something interesting about this list Nick Bosa and number 10, Chris Jones, right now, top 10, are holding out from their camps due to contract. They both want, more money. And so they are not reporting to camp. I know the 49ers are confident they'll get a deal done with Nick Bosa, but the Chiefs are not as confident about Chris Jones, and they need him because their defense is not amazing. And he's been the one stud that you can depend on the Kansas City defense last season and he helped them win the Super Bowl. So they need to pay him and they need to figure that out.
I was about to say these two guys are way too good and way too essential to their defensive units to, to afford to let them walk, right? I mean,
yeah.
Nick Bosa is the best defensive player in the game, and obviously I think he's going to be a 49er. I think Chris Jones is also going to be a Chief, but it's just all this extra hassle. It's so frustrating because it seems like every day we're seeing about these two new players that are holding out from their contract when it's like, dude, can y'all just
play the game?
I was about to say, play the game, have some pride for your team, just settle for a little bit less money,
little bit less.
$1 million. Like, to us, that is, to me and Joseph, that is a lot of money, but to y'all, that's really nothing. $1 million is not that big of a difference.
Agreed. And also, just sacrifice a little bit of the money to win. Chris Jones and Nick Bosa are both on two. Obviously, Chris Jones on a Super Bowl winning team. Nick Bosa's on a contending team. These are teams that could win this year. These are teams that have the hopes of winning. They're teams that are like, man, I'd love to just make playoffs. These guys are disappointed if they don't win the Super Bowl. Those are the kind of teams you want to be on. So don't just hold out because you want, like Nick said, $2 or $3 million more on your contract. Take what's on it. And they both want extensions. They've already got contracts, but they both want, more money than what they're making right now. So I know the 49ers have said, I think Nick Bosa will get paid and everything will get sorted out there. Chris Jones is a little bit more iffy. But hopefully, they can both re-sign. It's the business of the NFL. It's one of those things that happens every year. It's not very fun for the fans, but
which is why also I can appreciate a move like Joe Mixon. He accepted the pay cut, and then he even came out publicly, and I'm paraphrasing, of course, and he just basically said that I understand that to keep other pieces here, I can't get paid as much as I think I'm worth, but he's just saying basically he sees the pay cut being worth it because that means that he gets to be a Bengal next season, but then also they get to keep the other essential pieces so that they can have the best team possible.
Right. I agree. Interesting. Another thing is, you got three Chiefs. You got Patty, Travis Kelce, and Chris Jones. They're the dominant team in the league right now. I think that's only fitting. Everyone, I think they're the favorites to win it all again, if I'm not mistaken. So everybody's gunning for Kansas City this year. But every NFL season has challenges for every team. So we'll see. They'll be number 1 or 2 seed in the AFC, but winning back-to-back Super Bowls is tough. It's very tough to do, and it's never a gimme. Travis Kelce was saying on New Heights, he's saying every season, fans come up to me in training camp. They're like, we're going to win the Super Bowl this year. He's not even the players are not thinking about the Super Bowl during training camp. You're focused on that week 1 matchup. It's a long, grueling season. There's tons of injuries had on every side, but it's going to be tough for the Chiefs to repeat because everybody wants to beat the Chiefs right now. So every game they play will be the team bringing their absolute best against them.
It's August, and we're talking about February. We haven't even started preseason yet, and so it's too early to start making predictions for that. But obviously, we are super duper excited, and then with Travis Kelce being number 5, I think there is also the possibility of Travis Kelce retiring as maybe the greatest tight end of all time.
Oh yeah, I agree.
A lot of people see him as the best now, but I think once he retires, he will be undisputably the best tight end.
Yes.
That's just my personal opinion.
I would say for the most part, and this could be controversial, Nick, you can disagree with this, feel free. other than the third, other than Jalen Hurts, I think 9 of these guys, I mean, are legitimately, when I say potentially, I mean like probably future Hall of Famers. I mean, Chris Jones, Michael Parsons, Josh Allen, Tyreek, Joe Burrow, Travis Kelce, Nick Bosa, Justin Jefferson, and Patrick Mahomes are well on their way to Hall of Fame careers right now.
I mean, I think that's easy. I mean, the two
Some of
most obvious,
some
and
of
that
those
is
guys
1
are
in 5.
early, but like
Yeah,
you know what I
right.
mean. They're on track. They're on pace for a Hall of Fame career.
And Justin Jefferson, obviously at number 2. He's breaking records every single year. I
That
mean,
was
he's
only his
been
second season.
absolutely ridiculous. You got Tyreek Hill at 7, right? He's been one of the best. He's been a top 3
Mhm.
receiver for the last, like, I don't even know how many years.
Like 7
Josh
years.
Allen, he's got some things to figure out. I think he's talented enough to do it. It just
Hmm.
depends on longevity. For me, he's still got a couple more things I think he would need to achieve. And then Micah Parsons, he's been out of this world. I mean, he hasn't won a Defensive Player of the Year yet, but he's been a candidate the last 2
I
seasons. So
mean, he came out
absolutely on track.
he came out yesterday, 2 days ago, and said, he doesn't want to just be a Hall of Famer. He wants to be one of the greatest Hall of Famers of all time. Like,
I mean,
that's some
that's
serious
the
stuff right there.
mentality that you gotta have. I mean,
And by the way,
I'm here for it.
he looks like he probably will be. I'm just saying he's like everybody's talking about how much work and how different he looks. I mean,
He
he's not
looks
a
like a
kid anymore.
beast.
I mean, he looked like a beast coming out of college, but like
If you haven't seen a picture of him recently, like when this episode is over, I highly recommend you just go look up a picture of Micah Parsons. Just find one of him
I
recently.
mean, all off season he's been posting pictures of him in the lab. Like, I mean, he's been working. He's been working hard. And I hope, since there's 52 other guys on the roster, like he's not the only Cowboy putting in work. Hopefully Dak is working on, although I've seen some training camp footage and
I
I'm
will
not sure
say,
Dak is cut
I
down
was
on the
about to say,
picks.
every single training camp video I see of the Dallas Cowboys is Dak throwing another interception. And you're throwing it against the practice squad, essentially, against
Yep.
a bunch of backups. So that does not get me confident at all in the season.
Obviously,
And
this
he
isn't,
said he's going to have less than 10 picks
yeah, I
this
don't know
season.
where he's got
I
that
mean,
from.
he'll have less than 10 within the first 5 weeks for
Well,
sure.
I mean,
But who knows after that?
defenses don't respect him. He makes just terrible reads, terrible, like the throws are never like atrocious. It's just the read. The guy's always like covered. So it's like he's got to be better. I think in decision making is the biggest thing for
I
Dak
mean,
because he does
I was
not
going to
get
say
flustered.
the arm talent is there. He's
Mm-hmm.
got solid accuracy, but there are particular situations where you're like, why did he throw that? Like, I mean, off the top of my head, I'm thinking of the first pick that he threw against the 49ers in that playoff game. He's got Zeke wide open for
Mm-hmm.
a guaranteed 5 yards, and he ends up throwing a pick, trying to force it downfield to Michael Gallup. And you're just like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
And hopefully he's working on that this offseason. But like we said, it's hard to tell from the video we're seeing.
The other thing, too, is I've seen that the Dallas Cowboys running back room has been excelling. Deuce Vaughn has been cooking it up in training camp,
Mm-hmm.
and that gets me super excited because it's a cool moment for him. He's getting to play with his dad, um, Chris Vaughn, I believe
I
is
think
his
so.
name.
Yeah.
Chris, yeah, and so I'm super excited for this guy. Hopefully, I mean, I hope he turns out to be really, really good because I just love to see him be
Oh
super
yeah.
productive on
Oh
the
yeah.
field.
I think he will be. He's pretty quick. He's a pass catcher. That's what we need right now. That's what the league's running backs are kind of turning
Mm-hmm.
into. But in terms of the list, that's our thoughts on the top
He's
10. Obviously, there's a lot
yeah,
of guys on the top one, like there's 100 guys on the list, so we can't talk about them all. Top 10
but
are
it's
the
like
biggest
the top
names.
10 are the really the ones you care
And
about.
other than pick number
Hey, we had a
3, they
Cowboy
nailed
on
it.
there,
Yeah,
so
there you go.
I'm all for it. Other than pick 3, they nailed it absolutely. Joseph, you're correct. Well, here's your like to end our shows and under review. I have brought to you a quote by the Bear Bryant. He said, "It's not the will to win that matters. Everyone has that. It's the will to prepare to win that matters." And that's the truth.
That is the truth. Take that with you this week. And thank you for listening. We'll bring you another episode next week of Under Review.